This video is sponsored by War Thunder. Okay, imagine this for a second. What would Skyrim be like if the dragons were actually competent? No more waiting around all day, while the Dragonborn trains and does side quests. This time, Alduin and his minions struck first, straight up destroying civilization as we knew it. RIP. Now, the Dragonborn is one of the only survivors in a post-apocalyptic wasteland controlled by Alduin and his minions. This is the world of Shattered, Skyrim's post-apocalyptic overhaul, made by Scrabulor and a team of other modders. I've played Shattered a few times on the channel already, but in August 2024, this overhaul got even better when author Geborgen released a massive project called Dinoksetiid. Dinoksetiid is a full game overhaul designed around post-apocalyptic Skyrim, but containing over 600 additional mods chosen specifically to fit with the new post-apocalyptic world and gameplay. We're not just talking about wandering through ruined cities. This is an entire remake of the game for a post-apocalyptic alternate universe, with new locations, new combat mechanics, and even epic new boss fights. You can explore apocalyptic ruins and rediscover the remnants of civilization for hundreds of gameplay hours. Geborgen did a fantastic job with this project, and it's available for free on GitHub or the Wabbajack modlist installer. Links in the description. So let's do a quick rundown of how this game mode works. Alduin and his minions have conquered Skyrim. They've left the cities in ruins and raised the realm's inhabitants as undead, who now patrol the province, killing any survivors they can find. As the Dragonborn, it's our main quest to liberate each of Skyrim's 9 holds one by one, which will lure Alduin out into an apocalyptic showdown. This custom-made final boss fight is way more epic than the original one, but to become strong enough to face him, we'll need to delve into the ruins, recover the lost gear of ancient warriors, and of course, slay Alduin's most powerful minions, the Dragon Tyrants, who reign over each of Skyrim's major cities. And for this challenge, I only have 3 lives. If I lose all my lives, we're permadead, and the run is over. But we can regain a lost life each time we liberate one of the 9 holds, or defeat one of the newly added post-apocalyptic boss monsters. And there's a ton of new content and mechanics that we'll explore along the way. But right now, let's jump into things as our quest to free Skyrim from Alduin's apocalypse begins. We start by making our hero, a classic Nord. Then it's time to choose our starting perks. Now, perks work way differently in this game mode, but it's really important for the run, so here's the quick rundown. No longer is the Dragonborn instantly good at everything. Instead, we pick 3 skills right now that are the only things we're not trash at. I want to play a tanky warrior, so I choose heavy armor, two-handed, and restoration. Any other skill we didn't take, like stealth, magic, or archery, we're really bad at. Like, I can technically shoot a bow, but it's really weak. So basically me in real life. We won't be able to unlock any other skills until we find books that teach us those abilities. Our journey begins at Angi's camp in the southern mountains of Falkreath. We get the rundown from this Khajiit about Alduin's apocalypse. The world's ending, everyone's doomed, etc., etc. And then we're good to loot the cabin, taking our starting gear. And there's a skill book right here that teaches archery. So next time we level up, we can put a point into marksmanship and start using bows in combat. With our iron armor and basic gear equipped, we set off on our lonely quest to save what's left of the world. We're soon facing our very first zombie, the first of many. He charges at us with his mace, and we ready our longsword. Our first swing misses, not a great start, but then we kill him on the crackback. 1 zombie down, a gazillion to go. Our first stop on the way down the mountain is Ancestor's Glade. We're not going inside though, we're just looting the remains of this campsite. Now this is a great opportunity to demonstrate how perks work in this mode. This chest has a novice level lock. Normally, it would be super easy to open, but since we didn't choose to take a perk in lockpicking yet, here's what happens instead. Yep, no lockpicking perks means opening even the simplest locks is apparently just impossible. Maybe we'll learn how to open chests later on. So here are the goals for Falkreath. We need to kill the undead who now occupy the town and recover the treasures they're hoarding. But before we do that, we need to thin out the other monsters who are patrolling the region. We also need to explore various locations to find better gear, and we'll see about getting a standing stone buff while we're at it. Once we're around level 7, we'll hopefully be strong enough to face the first boss. Next, we find South Shriekwind Bastion. Discovering new areas gives us experience, as does killing the Draugr, who pops up out of the coffin here. This also earns us our first level up. First, we get to choose which skills we want to advance in, Then we grab 10 more health and choose our next perk. And as mentioned earlier, I can use it to unlock archery, which gives us a much needed option for ranged combat. Inside Shriekwind Bastion, we find an enchanted greatsword that reduces enemy armor rating. But further in, the enemies look to be kinda strong for our level, so we don't stay long. We head into Western Falkreath next. There's a useful base I remember from previous playthroughs that I'm hoping to find. But along the way, we come across some neat looking ruins. There are all sorts of locations like this, scattered around Skyrim now. And at this one in particular, we find a dangerous Minotaur. And he's level 10, which is probably too high for us to kill at the moment. So I decide to put safety first, and make a tactical retreat. We'll have plenty of time to explore weird ruins later. But our escape does bring us to Cracked Tusk Keep, the shelter I'd been looking for. And it's none too soon, because we've got enemies on our tail. By far the most threatening of these are the Minotaurs. We're gonna try to use the keep's defenses to our advantage here. We managed to knock one down off the scaffolding, which should buy us some time. But the other one's right up in our face and does a dangerous amount of damage. Fortunately, after a bit of stagger, we can kill him on the crackback. Then we slice through the wolf, but we've still got the other Minotaur to deal with. As this guy tries to climb the steps, we knock him down between the scaffolding and the defensive wall. It looks like he's stuck here, and might just be unable to attack us. So thanks to the keep's defensive layout, we're barely able to survive this fight. Cracked Tusk Keep makes for a pretty good base. It's got both a forge and an alchemy table, though it turns out that we can't actually use either of them yet, because we don't have the right perks. Though we do find some steel armor, which is a step up from our current gear. Now we're starting to look like an actually competent warrior, like we might stand a chance of surviving this apocalypse. We spend the night here, then depart in the morning. But when we try to leave, we find that the undead have found us. We ready our bow. Hopefully we can pick some of them off, while still making it out alive. Enemy AI is really bad at navigating rubble, so if we stay atop some of the exterior walls of the keep, we're actually pretty safe. Then once they're weakened, we can get up in their faces and smash the Draugr to bits. And so we manage to escape fairly unscathed. Now back to exploring Falkreath. We pick off some more weak undead, and earn another level, which goes into archery. Now that we have some experience and decent gear, these level 1 undead aren't much of a challenge. It's mainly just the archers that we need to look out for. Atop an abandoned watchtower, we find some interesting loot, including a skill book that teaches conjuration. With this, we could start taking conjuration perks after our next level. But I probably won't, since we're playing a warrior anyway. Eventually, we'll be heading into the town of Falkreath itself. But if we go there too early, we won't stand a chance against the boss. Around the south side of Lake Ilinalta, we come to Half Moon Mill. And this unassuming mill is the most dangerous place we've been to yet. This is Flameborn Lich Ear, the first in a new series of boss monsters made specifically for post-apocalyptic Skyrim. They're called the Abjects, and we'll be fighting each of them during this run. These guys make for incredible fights, on par with bosses from modern games. They've got new attack animations, and some even have multiple phases. But even the weakest of these abjects is too dangerous for us right now, so we're gonna leave the mill behind and head north to the lake. Here we swim across the water towards Ilinalta's Deep, a pretty sweet base I've used on prior playthroughs. There's a dangerously high-level wraith nearby, so we quickly duck inside, and this is where we find an unwelcome surprise.
What is that thing? That's not supposed to be here. Can we kill it? Oh, complete shambles. That's a lot of health. Okay. This isn't good, but if it's not gonna approach... Okay, no, he's gonna come at me. Hopefully this is not gonna do a lot of damage if he hits... What? Wait, that was a lot of damage! Wait, okay, get me out of here. Get me out of here! Where is the exit? Where is the exit, dude? Oh, wait, it's a ladder, it's a ladder. Okay, get out. Get me out of here. Complete shambles is what I'm in right now.
But not long after fleeing the fort, we come across another challenge, in the form of an undead patrol party. There are a lot of enemies here. Most of them will be low level though, so we might just stand a chance. We do want to thin out the local undead anyway, otherwise we risk having them ambush us when we're attacking Falkreath. With just our bow and arrows, we're able to deal quite well with most of them. After taking some hits, we drop down behind this outcropping so that we can heal. All throughout this playthrough, you're gonna see just how critical it is that we took a healing spell early on. But we've now run out of arrows, so we need to switch to melee and bash our way through these Draugr with our Warhammer. The good news is that after this fight, we'll be able to loot a bunch of arrows off the Draugr archers. With a refilled quiver, we can snipe the remaining undead. This cleans up the patrol party, but there will be other, more powerful groups in later holds. Then we stumble upon a little cabin, Hunter's Rest. There are some ingredients here, and a bottle of frostbite venom. Poisons like this venom may not do damage to undead, but they will harm dragons, which will be important for later. Then we face off against an undead bandit thug. Even in death, he's as obnoxious as ever.
That's your best, huh?
When we hit level 6, we take our first smithing perk. We need to start investing in this tree, so we can upgrade our armor later. This game mode also has Undead Forsworn. The variety in monsters you face really keeps things fresh, so you're not just hacking through mobs of Draugr all the time. Then further to the west, we find a useful location, Bile Gulch Mine. Mines mean free ore and supplies. But this one also comes with a big surprise. We're attacked by the Markarth Overseer. Yeah, you heard that right, Markarth. The Overseer is a fire-breathing dragon who's way too tough for us to deal with right now. It seems we crossed over the border on accident and are now in much more dangerous territory. So, change of plan. We're gonna hide out in this mine for a while until the dragon leaves. But you know what's better than big scaly reptile dragons? Fast-flying metal ones that you can pilot. War Thunder's newest update, Dance of Dragons, is out now. Take control of over 2,000 planes, copters, tanks, and ships from around the globe. In the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, there are 3 different game modes to fit your style. And you can now take the helm on the go with War Thunder's new mobile version on iOS and Android. If you love personalizing your characters like I do, you'll appreciate the near-endless vehicle customization options. War Thunder's free to play on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and mobile. And when you sign up using the link in my pinned comment or video description, new and returning players earn a massive bonus pack with the Eagle of Valor Decorator, in-game currency, and 7 days of premium account access. Available for a limited time only, so choose your dragon and get started today. After taking all the ore we can find and turning them into ingots, we rest for the night in the safety of the mine, then scamper on back to Falkreath once the dragon's gone.
What is a Daedroth? Okay, this is worse than the dragon, isn't it? I think it's... No! Get out! Run! Run, 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 run. I did not think we were going to find something worse than the dragon here. So for Falkreath like being a safe place.
Soon, we find our way to Knife Point Ridge, where there's an unmarked mine with tons of ore. Eventually, I want to use this to craft stronger armor and hopefully upgrade it. There's also a Staff of Frenzy here, but sadly it only works on living creatures. We can smelt our ore down into ingots, but that's about all until we've leveled up our smithing more. But I think now we're finally ready to progress with the main quest and head right for the heart of Falkreath.
Okay, so Minotaur's going down with our Warhammer, War Slammer more like it. Oh wow, okay, hang on. This might be close. I'm still taking damage. No! No, the potion was too slow. They made it so potions just gradually heal, and it wasn't quick enough. Well, that's the first time that we've died.
Let's hope Falkreath goes better than that fight did. We need to defeat the boss, who now controls the town. And there are a bunch of lower level undead, who we can pick off around the outskirts. By positioning ourselves on these rocks outside the main city gate, we can work on thinning out the undead masses with our bow and arrows. The only big threats to us here are other archers, or of course, the boss, Dragon Priest Sidgeir. We draw his attention as we move closer to the city gate. Sidgeir's flame spell can wipe out our entire HP in just a few seconds. It seems we're still a bit underpowered for this boss fight. We have enough healing through our spells and potions to survive for a bit, but we need to find a good vantage point where we can start sinking arrows into him. Unfortunately, as I retreat from the city, I fail to find one. We may need to rethink things a bit and come back tomorrow. Surely there's more stuff around Falkreath we can do to get stronger. One thing we can do is visit the Guardian Stones and grab the buff of the Warrior Stone. And we can rest for the night at Embershard Mine. The next day, we swing through the ruins of Helgen, continuing to smash through the zombies. And at the top of one of the towers, we find a big loot box. These are specific additions to post-apocalyptic Skyrim that give the player a variety of spells and enchanted gear. This is mainly because, without merchants, enchantments and spells are really hard to come by. Then we have another run-in with a Minotaur, and this time, we're strong enough to kill it. We're not messing around anymore. Alright, it's time for round 2 with Jarl Sidgeir. This time, I've got a new plan. He's still too dangerous to contend with in melee range. Instead, we need to lead him further out of town to a specific rock formation. After climbing up a bit, we're in a spot where we can see Sidgeir, but he can't reach us. This causes his AI to turn around and retreat, so we only get a few clear shots at him. but we can then rinse and repeat this process, approaching the city until Sidgeir gets aggroed on us, then retreat back to the rocks and take some quick pot shots. And at this point, his AI apparently got tired of retreating, so we gotta sink a bunch of damage in easily. We take those, but it would be kinda lame to just repeat this until he dies. So I bring out the battle axe and close into melee range for the final blow.
Is this it? Is this the one? This is the one. There we go. Sidgeir's down.
And with that, Dragon Priest Sidgeir crumbles into a heap of ashes, and we've defeated our first big boss of the run. Then, it's on to wiping out the remaining zombies hanging around the city, and then we can claim our reward, another chest of relics taken by the undead. This one unfortunately doesn't have much that's of value to us, but we'll get some better reward chests later. With the first hold boss defeated, we've cleared Falkreath and recovered 1 lost life. So, with 1 out of 9 holds complete, we lay our eyes on our next objective, Whiterun, where things are about to get a lot trickier, because now we're going to be dealing with dragons. First, we fight our way around Riverwood, then follow the river down into Whiterun Hold. Falkreath was basically just a tutorial area. Now things are getting serious. This dragon flies a patrol route around Whiterun, and if he spots us, he can summon the local undead to our location. And we're really not ready to face the dragon yet. So we've got to work on cutting down the undead while staying close enough to the mountain caves so that we can run inside for shelter if we need to hide.
I'm gonna check if there's anything useful around here. Let's try this chest. Not a... What? It's a mimic. Mimics don't exist in Skyrim. That just one-shot me. So, no touching treasure chests?
So much for having 3 lives again. Our next big goal for Whiterun is to figure out how we're gonna take down that flying patrol copter. We gain some more experience working our way around the hold, while hoping to stumble upon some new dragon-slaying secret. We have a run-in with a pair of wraiths, higher-level undead, who I think would have killed us back in Falkreath. Their frost magic drains both health and stamina, but with our recent level ups, we're now strong enough to dispatch both of them with our greatsword. At Shimmermist Cave, we find that the Falmer have managed to weather the apocalypse too. Then we very nearly get eaten by a saber cat when trying to leave. The Whiterun bandit camps are abandoned, so they're a pretty solid spot for us to search for useful resources, or to use as shelter for the night, if only we knew how to open doors.
Oh, that's right, I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. Because opening locks is like the hardest thing in existence.
For level ups, I'm now focusing on advancing in archery, because we're probably going to need to stick about 100 arrows into that dragon to kill it. Trying to kill it solely with our 2-handed weapons would probably just get us eaten. We grab an orc warhammer from a chest at Silent Moon's camp. Next, we make a stop at Dustman's Cairn. This is the first main dungeon on the Companions questline, where you meet the Silver Hand and find out the Companions are werewolves. We even have a close call with another mimic.
No, I need to stop touching treasure. I just have to stop. It never is worth it. At least he hasn't one-shot us yet. We have to get out of here. He can't get his fat treasure chest head through the door. He's just stuck there. I'm just gonna shoot him till he dies. It might be worth a lot of experience, honestly. Yeah, take that, you idiot. Does he have any loot? What's he have on him? Oh, staff, that's probably not useful. A Welkin Stone completely restores our magicka. We don't use a ton of magicka.
The Silver Hand have all fallen prey to the apocalypse. So besides the Mimic, we've just got to deal with a ton of Draugr. In the final boss room, we claim a fragment of the legendary Wuthrad. But more importantly, we learn the first word of the Fire Breath Shout. Then, we have to whack our way through a seemingly endless line of Draugr. Usually you have one of the companions helping you out here, but we've got to do it alone. I won't complain about the extra experience though. When we leave the cairn, that's when the real fight begins. The Whiterun Draugr army has found us. They hit us with a volley of arrows, at least one of which is poisoned. And now we need to figure out how to deal with this utter mob. The melee Draugr are going to be easier to handle. We can shoot them with arrows while they charge at us, and take them out one by one. For the archers, we're gonna have to rely on our armor to be strong enough to take some damage. There's just no shot of us avoiding every single arrow. We get charged by a higher level zombie, whose weapon attack really dents our gear. This drives us to dip into our potion stock, then retreat up the hill to cast healing. This zombie does not go down easily. He's probably the toughest one we've faced so far. And then we still have another half dozen or so undead to contend with. But matters only get worse, because the Whiterun Overseer soon makes his appearance. As if the Draugr army wasn't enough, Now we've got a dragon. This guy's got powerful ice breath that damages our health and stamina. I try to get some damage in, but our arrows are barely scratching his scales. And we need to cast healing just to stay alive. There's just no way we're ready for this fight right now. We need to get out of here and come up with a fresh strategy, but retreating isn't easy with our stamina drained and the dragon on our tail. We make a panicked run through the night to the west, desperately hoping to escape with our life. But there are more zombies lurking here, and we're in no shape to be fighting them. We get caught in another blast of the Overseer's ice breath, and very nearly die. With the dragon still soaring above us, we race for the closest shelter. It's a small cottage on the mountain slopes that once belonged to a hostile mage named Drellis. Drellis is dead now, and his house is abandoned, so this is going to function as our shelter until the Overseers passed on. That was a dangerously close call. We spend an exhausted night here. The next morning, it's back to cleaning up zombies. But today's for more than just cleanup. Today is the day we're going to take down the Whiterun dragon. Killing dragons is all about cover. Fighting one in an open field, at least at our current level, is a death sentence. So for this fight, I've chosen to lure the Whiterun Overseer to a location where we'll have a strategic advantage. And that location, of course, is the iconic Western Watchtower. First, we've got to get the bad boy's attention. Then, once he's locked onto us, we retreat to the tower entrance. And so, the fight begins. One round of his frost breath would probably drain most of our HP, so we've got to play smart, ducking behind the walls of the watchtower to avoid it, and only chancing our own attacks once the coast is clear. Now, one complication you'll notice here is that the Overseer's breath leaves behind dangerous ice crystals in its wake. These continuously damage us if we get too close. So at times during the fight, the dragon will virtually seal us into the tower by filling the doorway with ice. Using some of the poisons we've picked up is a great way to up the damage we're dealing with our bow. So most of the fight is just carefully avoiding the frost breath and sneaking in shots when we can. Once we've reduced its health to about a quarter of its max, the Overseer is grounded and can no longer fly. So instead, he proceeds to crawl around the outside of the tower, trying to find a good angle for a breath attack. But I can adequately confuse the AI by ducking in and out of the tower, while continuing to shoot him. Finally, the AI figures out a path up to the tower entrance, and now things are actually getting dangerous. Some of the local Draugr patrol arrive, summoned by the Overseer, but we find a good angle from the steps inside the tower to continue shooting the dragon. And with just a few more arrows, the deed is done. The Whiterun Overseer has been defeated. Now we just have to survive the Draugr assault on the tower. But compared to the Overseer, they're a piece of cake, and we can replenish our arrow supply by looting their bodies. Then, time to absorb our first dragon soul of the run, marking us the last Dragonborn and final hero of this desperate world. With it, we're gonna unlock the first word of the fire breath shout that we got from Dustman's Cairn. With the Overseer and most of the undead army scoured, we're clear to head right for the ruins of Whiterun, and the horrors we'll find there. On the way into Whiterun, we find another loot chest. After checking that it's not a mimic, we take a look inside. This gets us a pretty sick weapon, an orcish bow of burning, which we'll be using a lot during this next fight. But we also take note of this little sheltered area beneath the fortifications outside the city. Looks promising. Unsurprisingly, the streets of Whiterun are now in ruin, and we have to fight our way up towards Dragon's Reach. But before we can get there, we have Whiterun's two main bosses to contend with. Lonvaher, the dragon tyrant of the city, and court mage Farengar, who's unwillingly become a dragon priest. Their aggression drawn, we rush out of the city and down to that shelter we found earlier. From here, we'll have almost complete cover from Lonvaher's attacks, and can start whittling down their HP. At least that's the plan. But we soon find that Farengar has pursued us as well, and is lurking just outside our shelter. Now, we need to hope he doesn't decide to get into melee range with us, because we can't survive a direct onslaught of his spark spell for long. But as long as he decides to linger outside, we can sneak in quick arrows that do a decent chunk of damage, while the walls block most of his lightning. After we reduce him to half health, his little robot brain gets smarter, and he retreats up the battlements to higher ground. This means we have to sacrifice our cover in order to pursue him, exposing ourselves to Lonvaher and his fire breath. We take quite a bit of damage this way, so we need to use our healing spell to survive. We repeat this process another couple times, getting Farengar nearly down into killing range.
Okay, a couple more arrows. I think we almost have him. 1, 2, get inside, get inside. No, that's a wall. That's a wall, dude. Okay, potion, no. No! No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Are you serious? That was so close!
Alright, take 2. Our overall strategy was pretty solid, but we need better execution. Farengar pursues us again, but this time he goes right to his second strategy of waiting for us to pop out before beaming lightning at us. That is, until he suddenly decides to try an all-out blitz. He pursues us into our hideout. This isn't looking good. We're vulnerable and now cornered with no way to retreat. We duck behind this wall for cover, and fortunately, Farengar's wonky AI decides now is the time to retreat, giving us the breathing room we needed to heal. The next time he charges us, we're ready. With a few more arrows and a healing potion to outlast his sparks, we take Farengar down for good. Now, for the dragon. We can bait Lonvaher into hovering just outside our shelter, then use our new Fire Breath shout to sink some quick damage in. Then retreating back into our shelter protects us from most of his Fire Breath. This is where our new shout is really coming in handy. Drawing our bow is slow, but yelling at a dragon is fast. Therefore, Fire Breath good, and we can get more damage in without risking getting burned to a crisp. It takes a while, but finally we get Lonvaher down into the range where he's grounded. Now this is when dragons can really get dangerous. Lonvaher crawls around the corner to get an angle on us, and unfortunately, we miss with our own Fire Breath attack. We're using poisoned arrows here that we picked up from the Draugr. This is a good time to use them, because undead are immune to poison, but the dragons aren't. By popping in and out of our shelter, we can confuse the dragon AI again, and get some good shots in. 2 more arrows and we have it. Lonvaher the Bane of Whiterun is defeated, and the city ripe for liberation. Now we charge through the streets, sweeping up the remaining Draugr defenders. We even face a reanimated Jarl Balgruuf, who's pretty tanky, but goes down easily to our Fire Breath. This shout is really turning out to be useful. Then, it's onwards to Dragon's Reach, to reclaim the palace for the living.
There's someone here. What is that? Nazim! Nazim! We gotta kill him! Oh wow, he's fast, okay. Yeah, this is fine. Alright, well, I wasn't expecting for him to be here, but what playthrough is complete without killing Nazim?
Then, we can loot Nazim's armor, some of which is an upgrade over our current gear, and search the city for remaining loot chests. There are a couple lying around, but not much inside worth noting other than a steel plate cuirass that deflects a portion of melee damage back on the attacker. This is definitely worth wearing. With our new gear claimed and the city of Whiterun retaken, we regain 1 lost life and set off on the next leg of our journey. And this next leg, well, it's certainly a doozy. In addition to the usual perk trees, this game mode comes with new skills called talents. These are custom trees that add new skills, like the Dragonborn one here. By taking this first perk, we can make all our shouts 25% stronger. But before we head to the throat of the world, I want to make a stop at another Falkreath location that we missed earlier, Sunderstone Gorge. This dungeon's now mostly unoccupied, though there are quite a few traps. At the end, we face a flame Atronach, who conveniently blows itself up for us. And here's the prize we came here for, the second word in our Fire Breath shout, which we can unlock using the Dragon Soul we took from Lonvaher. Now we're ready to head west across the border into the Rift, and then north to the throat of the world. Along the way, we come across a gruesome sight, a near graveyard of Imperial soldiers. Looks like we might be entering dragon hunting grounds. But at least we can scavenge a bunch of arrows for free. Sure enough, we soon catch our first glimpse of another major foe, the Riften Overseer. Our intrusion into the rift hasn't gone unnoticed. We flee down the canyon over the corpses of fallen soldiers, while the dragon circles above us, hidden by snow and mist. Maybe his tummy's too full after feasting on Imperials, because the Overseer doesn't attack us directly, and once we make it out of the snowy canyon, he's continued off on his patrol, leaving us safely in the rift. Well, safely might be the wrong word, because as I learned in my last playthrough, the rift is crawling with bears. And as we approach Ivarstead to begin our climb to High Hrothgar, the Overseer gives us another jump scare. Hiding in the river seems to work decently, and we make it downstream to the 10,000 steps without getting devoured. But next, we have to climb, and the steps are well guarded by more undead, so it's gonna be a hike. The Ice Wraith falls to our Fire Breath, and we can dispatch the Frost Troll with a few arrows from our enchanted Firebow. And then there are a couple more chests we can loot near the top. We also get to loot more of those poisoned arrows that are handy for dragon slaying. Now we approach High Hrothgar at last, eager to learn whether the Greybeards have survived the apocalypse. Within the monastery, we see no signs of our would-be mentors. save for the words of power they've left behind. And the courtyard tells a tragic tale. It seems the Greybeards succeeded in killing one dragon who descended upon them, before sadly meeting their ends. One last note left behind confirms what we had feared since the start. The World Eater Alduin has returned, and we are the only one left who can stand against him. But we're not done here yet, because we can still climb higher, to the peak of the mountain where Paarthurnax once dwelled.
Seriously? That's like, there are four. Okay, there's no way we have to fight those, right? There are 4 dragons up there. I'm gonna trust that we're not gonna have to fight those, because that would be completely absurd.
The throat of the world is guarded by another dragon priest, Jondir the Silent. And up here on the mountaintop, there's not much cover for us to take advantage of. So to win this fight, we need to act fast and play smart. We start with a fire breath, then switch to our burning bow. Jondir hits us with dual cast sparks, which not only damages us, but drains our magicka, making it harder for us to heal. Our health's dropping fast, so we use our only healing potion. This stabilizes our health for a few seconds, and we can sink more arrows into Jondir. But it's looking like we're fated to lose this fight, so I retreat a bit down the path, looking for a better vantage point. We find a spot behind some rocks where we can safely cast healing, and take a magicka potion to let us heal more quickly. Then with our health recovered, we return to the fray, landing a few more arrows and unleashing our recharged fire breath. This proves to be enough to take Jondir down. That's one less dragon priest left in the world. And our prize for coming all this way? The final word in our fire breath shout. Well, at least that's what I thought this was. Remember this for later. Marked on our map, we now have all 7 of the remaining dragon priests guarding each occupied hold. And through this climb to the throat of the world, we've automatically unlocked the first word in Unrelenting Force. So now it's back down into Riften, where we have the local undead horde to deal with. And of course, the far more deadly Riften patrol dragon. He turns up once again, gives us a jump scare, and then flies off. But then we come face to face with another interesting foe, Isolde of Drakenfire. She seems like a pretty big boss. We start with fire breath, then get some hits in with our warhammer. She takes some massive swings with her club, but they're not that hard to dodge. She fights pretty defensively, parrying our attacks. Partway through the fight, the dragon turns up again and lets out a roar. Then we let out a roaring fire breath of our own that combines with the Overseer's into an infernal explosion. The Overseer flies off again, and Isolde's now weakened. She's a bit too insistent on fighting defensively, blocking our attacks, instead of dealing much damage on her own. As she comes at us with a diving strike, we roast her with one last fire breath, and the battle is won. And for this victory, we get some pretty great loot. Isolde has 21 ebony arrows and a powerful weapon, the Darkened Bow, that we add to our arsenal. But we're not out of danger yet, because the Riften Overseer returns. And this time, we're going to be in for a long fight. This thing's fire breath is perilously strong. We can't withstand it for more than a single cycle, so as usual, we're gonna need cover. While keeping ourselves barely alive through healing magic, we find a spot under this bridge where we should be mostly protected. But because the Overseer dragon of each hold can summon the local undead to our location, we soon find ourselves surrounded by a swarm of Draugr. We can shoot them with arrows, but doing so risks exposing us to the Overseer. Some of the Draugr even attack us under the bridge, so we have to fight them while ducking dragonfire and avoiding the burning ground the Overseer leaves in his wake. Ultimately, our armor is good enough that the undead and their flimsy weapons don't pose much of a threat. We can dispatch of them fairly easily, as long as we don't slip up and throw ourselves face first into a dragon breath. Now, dealing with the Overseer is a different story. We can recycle our previous archery strats to sneak in damage while using cover to protect ourselves. But this guy is one beefy lizard, and we don't get a lot of good opportunities for clear shots, so this fight is long and grueling. And at the end of it comes the ultimate disappointment.
He's gone. I remember this being a problem at times, like where the dragons, their AI, when you ground them, they just fly off somewhere instead of landing and continuing the fight. Yeah, he's not here anymore. I mean, I guess when he turns up again, hopefully we're not gonna have to do that fight entirely over, but I'm afraid that we're gonna have to. Yep, here he is again, completely, fully healed. That is so obnoxious, dude. How many times are we gonna have to kill this dragon? I cannot deal with him out in the open like this. This is terrible. I need, if we're gonna do this fight again, I need to have cover. But honestly, maybe we just go hide. I am sick of this dragon. Ouch. Okay, I thought I had cover. Get in the windmill. Get in the windmill, please. We need to heal. Wait, how's it still getting? That is a wall. That is a wall. You can't do that. That is so cheating. This dragon has cheated twice now. You should be dead. I'm so salty. This dragon is the worst. I'm gonna go hide in a cave. I am done with this dragon. Snapleg Cave. I don't know what's here, and I don't care. This is my home now.
Might as well explore some of this cave while we're here. We kill a frostbite spider and find a nice magica potion. There's also a staff of paralysis, but it only affects lower level living targets, so it probably won't be very useful. Near the end of the cave, we run into a giant frostbite spider who puts up a decent fight. Then the boss monster is a level 20 Hagraven. She's pretty threatening, but her fireballs just seem to miss us luckily, so we take her down without much trouble. Then after a disappointing loot chest, it's back out into the night as we search for our next shelter. The Rift Watchtower might not protect us from dragon attacks, but it may have a bedroll we can use until morning. Instead, to our surprise, we find a shrine to Trinimac. Shrines are great in this game mode. They not only grant you temporary blessings, but you can take perks in the Pilgrim Talent Tree to make those blessings stronger, and use the prayer power to regain the blessings from the most recent shrine you visited. But there's still no bed there, so our wandering through the rift continues. We find yet another cave without beds, though there is an alchemy skill book. This will let us finally start collecting ingredients and making potions, at least after we level up and take the right perks. While fleeing from a pair of bears, we stumble onto a curious location that just might work as the shelter we're looking for. Redwater Den is an underground skooma hideout, and surprisingly enough, people are still hanging out here. I guess even during an apocalypse, they've just got to get their fix. But the important part is, we can sleep here. After our nap in the post-apocalyptic drug den, the day dawns bright and clear. We first explore the fortress of Faldar's Tooth on the banks of Lake Honrick. There's a stock of low-quality ores here, and a few potions. Then it's off to Goldenglow Estate, where we can scout out the city of Riften. We spot the big boss dragon in the distance that defends the city, but before we can risk tangling with it, we still need to trap and kill the Rift Patrol Dragon. But I spot an interesting tower in the distance that I don't remember existing. Might be worth some investigation. This is Darklight Tower, and it's pretty eerie. It's got all sorts of sorcery-type stuff lying around, though we also snatch some useful potions. And of course, what evil boss lair is complete without a man-eating treasure chest? But this time, we're able to escape from the Mimic, then get some distance on it and start sinking in damage. With the Mimic's AI thoroughly baffled, it's no threat to us here. Then, we follow the stairs, all the way up to the rooftop of the tower. And that is where the fun begins. We find ourselves facing a level 20 Hagraven who's hurling fireballs at us. Luckily, we get a critical hit with our burning bow, and our fire breath does really good damage. Then we close into melee and bludgeon her to death with our warhammer. Simple enough. After that, we fight the Hagraven's apprentice, a human mage. Turns out she's not much trouble either. But then it's time for the real show, as the Riften Overseer roars overhead. Time for the true showdown. We focus on keeping our health up while staking out different locations around the tower top that we could use for cover. This archway here near the upper entrance to the tower is decent, and we land a good fire breath on the dragon. But we don't have total cover here and need to keep replenishing our health. Finally, we settle into the interior of this tent. Believe it or not, this is just the protection we need from the Overseer's fire breath. You wouldn't expect a fur tent to be fireproof, but hey, Skyrim doesn't care much about science. From here, we can loose our arrows at the dragon when he's hovering outside, then duck inside the tent when he breathes at us. And this strategy proves very effective, even though, as usual, it takes a long time to whittle down the dragon's health. But by now, we have enough health to withstand 2 cycles of the Overseer's breath, which means we don't have to play as safe. Despite the rain, the tower top blazes both with dragon fire and the flames of our own breath attacks. And finally, after much patience and many arrows, we bring the Overseer down into grounding range.
Please, please land close. No, this cheater, this lizard cheater. He's leaving again, isn't he? He's gone. Is that him? I'm gonna check. Yeah, okay, he's gone. This is ridiculous. This is third time. Okay, no, 3 strikes and you're out. I'm not gonna stand this cheating dragon any longer. It's a glitch. Like, his AI is not supposed to do that. So I'm going to reload and see if this time his AI works properly.
On our second attempt, we ground him again, and thankfully the Overseer lands within range on the tower top. I'm hoping that with this wall between us and the dragon, we can stay at a safe distance while killing it with ranged attacks. But surprisingly, his fire breath seems to permeate the stone wall better than it did our tent. So pretty soon, I'm using a healing potion to stay alive. With the ground blazing, we struggle to find a good source of cover. The Overseer tries to close in on us, and I find myself backing up nearly to the door to the tower. We use another potion just to be safe and cling to this last line of defense, the stone archway, as our source of cover. And fortunately, this wall does block out the dragon fire while giving us the window we need to continue our archery onslaught. With perhaps a dozen more arrows and one final fire breath, we slay the Riften Overseer at last and absorb another soul. That was not an easy fight. After taking our next perk, we finally unlocked the ability to harvest herbs for potions. Now, before we continue on to Riften and face the Dragon Priest who rules there, I decide to take on an additional challenge. Remember the Flameborn Lich back from Half Moon Mill in Falkreath? That was one of the Abjects, the new superpowered boss monsters added specifically for Post-Apocalyptic Skyrim. Now that we're nearing level 20, I think we're strong enough to return to Falkreath and take them on for real. And since these bosses are so unpredictable and powerful, each one that we kill earns us back a lost life. We're headed to our favorite starting village of Riverwood. Except, this ain't Riverwood as you remember it. The town lies in ruins, and we now face a twisted remnant of the draconic apocalypse brought to life through dark magic. This is Arachnarax the Dreadweaver. He comes at us with Flame Cloak and a massive cleaver. Hopefully, our high armor rating will let us withstand his blows.
Whack, whack. This guy's not too bad. There we go. Okay, I need to heal back up now. Okay. No, phase 2. Okay, sure.
Fortunately for phase 2, the spider form doesn't have that much HP, but it does summon a swarm of skeletons to protect it. After Arachnarax somehow shrugs off our fire breath, it leaps onto us and deals a good chunk of damage. We reposition ourselves and get another couple arrows in. Then, when it leaps again, the armor we got from Whiterun that partly reflects melee damage back on the attacker ends up killing it.
It should have been obvious that Arachnarax would have a spider form.
We've slain our first abject, winning back another lost life. But if you thought that fight was cool, there's a lot more to come. And Arachnarax was the weakest of all the abjects we'll be facing this playthrough. From there, we venture to the crypt of Haldir's Cairn. Haldir is a fairly bland Draugr boss who exists in the base game, but now he's been reworked as one of the abjects, making him a lot more difficult than I remember his vanilla form being.
Okay, his lightning could be tough to handle here. Oh, that was sweet, great, okay. Now is this cloning phase. This is gonna be trickier, probably. They all have cloaks? Okay, that's gonna make this potentially really hard. Okay, we're gonna go melee. We're gonna lightning cloak. What was that explosion? Okay, we just got surrounded, I think. Oh, we're out of stamina, yeah. Okay, yeah, that fight is a lot harder with the abject. So I guess we aren't gonna kill Haldir. We'll try that one later.
Then we return to Half Moon Mill to give Flameborn Lich Ear another try. His fireballs do massive damage, but from this far away, we can dodge them fairly frequently. That makes this fight seem doable, but then after we fail to dodge 2 more fireballs in a row, things are looking much worse. Clearly we're still not cut out for this fight. We sprint to the lake to hide from the infernal onslaught. We find a nice rocky corner where we can safely heal back up, and that's when I stupidly decide to keep fighting.
Our arrows do a lot of damage. We just need to land like 5 or 6 and not get hit by the fireballs. All right, that was good damage. I might need to drop down and heal. We can do that. Okay. I mean, as long as he can't, like, reach us here, we should be okay, because I can just heal. Wait, how did that one hit? Okay, like, right here, surely we're fine. Oh, I can't heal. Wait. No, I couldn't stand. Okay, we need to find a safe. No, I'm underwater. How did that hit me? I'm underwater. Get out of here. Get out. I'm underwater. How am I being incinerated? Okay, I hate the physics in Skyrim sometimes.
We'll need to try that again later. For now, we refocus on Riften and use smithing to upgrade our helmet. Just like with Whiterun, the city's gonna be guarded by a dragon priest, a dragon tyrant, and a bunch of lower level undead. Lo and behold, Salarandin Bane of Riften soon comes after us. I try running all the way to Golden Glow Estate, but it seems that's a bit too far because Salarandin stops pursuing us. Now, for some reason, there are a couple Riften guards still alive who join in on the fight. But they're not faring so well against Willandria, former court mage, now turned dragon priest. With a couple healing potions to help, it's not too difficult for us to tank her spells and keep sinking in arrows. And with a final fire breath, we turn her to dust. Then we get a bit of a breather, dealing with some of the weaker Draugr around the Riften outskirts. But before long, it's time to face off against the dragon. Salarandin, Bane of Riften, is a powerful foe. We're gonna lead it to this farm down the road this time. Here, we decide to use this windmill as our shelter for the fight. And then, it's time to start the long, arduous process of whittling down this dragon's massive health bar. This all goes about as you'd expect. Wait to get an opening, then sink a few arrows, retreat into the windmill, and heal. Rinse and repeat, and eventually we've got this beast grounded. Now we just have to watch out for the weirdness of dragons clipping through windmills. Luckily for us, the dragon decides not to use its fire breath. Instead, Salarandin mostly just sits there while we try to figure out where his hitbox is. From there, it's just a matter of time until the dragon tyrant is slain, and his soul becomes ours. Cleaning up the rest of Riften is fairly easy work. And fortunately, we don't face any surprise final bosses. We find another loot chest, claiming a new warhammer and marking this chapter complete. Now's a good time to quickly revisit our stats. Heavy armor and marksmanship are our main two skills, with two-handed and restoration following up behind. I haven't been focusing on smithing as much as I'd planned, because we keep finding better armor, so upgrading our existing gear is less important. But we're now able to take another Dragonborn perk, which enhances our shouts by another 25%. And after taking a few more alchemy perks, we're starting to craft up our own concoctions. We can make poisons this way, which will help us kill dragons. But unfortunately, I don't have the right ingredients yet to make health potions. Now that we've cleared Riften, our next goal is Morthal. All three of the small northern holds, Morthal, Dawnstar, and Winterhold, only have one dragon each, which should make them more manageable. But since these three holds are so little, I'm gonna lump them all together into a singular chapter, and only take our extra life once we've cleared out all three. While crossing the mountains into Morthal, we make the ascent towards a nearby word wall, bringing us into the fray with a pair of frost trolls.
I think we can handle 2 trolls at this point. Let's go fire breath. Oh yeah, that did a ton. All right. Oh, that was okay. They hit pretty hard, but yeah, no, I'm pretty sure we can handle this. Okay, he's almost down. And there we go. Yeah, all right, there we go. Feels pretty good to be able to take out enemies as powerful as that. Oh, we got, wait, the Dawnstar Overseer? I'm not a Dawnstar. What is he doing here? I'm near Morthal. Okay, I was not prepared for this. There's like no cover here. I'm gonna run. Oh, okay, I think he's just leaving. It was just a flyby. I mean, we'll have to tangle with him eventually. You get out of here.
After finding another couple frost trolls to kill and gaining a good bit of experience in the process, we take in the view from Elder's Blood Peak and plot our course down the mountain into the Morthal marshes. Some of the zombies here are a bit higher level than what we've been facing before, and I try to remember that we can harvest alchemy ingredients now. As we reach these wayward ruins, the Morthal Overseer descends upon us, and the battle begins. But these ruins should give us all the cover we need if we play this smart. Now this Overseer is a frost dragon, which means its breath will also drain our stamina. And one gameplay change in this mode is that if you're out of stamina, you can't draw a bow. We start with focusing on the many Draugr who storm the ruins. Our bow does good damage here, as well as our fire breath shout. It's gonna be a bit before we can even start battling the Overseer, just from all the Draugr trying to attack us. We find ourselves backed into a corner with a line of Draugr facing us down, but it's a great opportunity to roast them all with one breath. Once we're done with all these Draugr, it'll at least make the area around Morthal safer for when we do battle at the city itself. With the zombies thinned out, we turn our attention to the Sky Lizard. With help from our healing spell, we should be able to survive its damage if we don't do anything stupid. Also, because it's a frost dragon, it seems our fire breath does extra damage. That'll be a big help. Adding in some damage from poisoned arrows we're able to ground the Overseer. Then it's a matter of withstanding its frost breath while we finish the job. One more massive fire breath and one more poisoned arrow. The Morthal Overseer bites the dust, and its soul is ours. So now with the dragon and much of the undead army gone, we're free to approach Morthal directly. Relying on our archery as usual, we thin out the undead ranks from just outside the town. We've got this down pat by now. It's mainly just the Dragon Priest we'll need to worry about. Jarl Idgrod mixes fire and ice in her attacks. After a minor healing potion, our health is relatively stable, so we can clock her in the face a bunch of times. This is a bit sketchy as we also get attacked by a nearby Draugr. Our health is dipping into dangerous territory, but ultimately we have just enough to deliver Idgrod's end, then turn our attention to the minions. After taking some time to heal, there's not much to worry about with the rest of the town. But from the ruins, we recover some fantastic gear. Our first piece of ebony armor in the form of this helmet and steel plate boots that give us 40% frost resistance. That's phenomenal for tanking frost dragons. It's not much longer until we take down the remainder of Morthal's undead defenders. And with that, we've cleared the first of the 3 northern holds. Next up, Dawnstar. Now Dawnstar, well, it's a cold white mess. Most of our time here, we're caught in a snowstorm, which impairs our vision and makes combat a bit trickier, but it's not going to be enough to stop us. We find the Stone Hills, which is home to a small mine. There, we can spend the night after gathering ore. When we try to leave the next day, we're spotted by the Dawnstar Overseer himself. This guy's another frost dragon. We know how to deal with these by now. Fire breath is our #1 weapon here, but we need to avoid the ice crystal patches the dragon's breath leaves behind. The dragon mostly just perches on top of this building, making it an easy target, and thanks to our frost resistance boots, we can tank its breath without too much trouble. Ultimately, this ends up being the easiest dragon fight we've had so far. All our recent improvements are really starting to show. With another Dragonborn perk unlocked, we can take Deep Breath, which gives us a 25% chance of our fire breath doing double damage. Then we run into a scary looking level 39 hunter, but he quickly becomes a crispy boy with 1 roasting from our fire breath. It's not until our run-in with the Dawnstar Draugr patrol that we face a real challenge.
Here we go. We got a lot of them. Is that a dead horse? That's a Draugr horseman, and wow, he's fast. Okay, that thing is so cool. There we go. That is awesome. Looks like we have another horseman. Oh, 2. Oh no, there are 2. Okay. Yeah, these guys are really tough actually. They have a lot of health. They're super quick. And their spears, okay, yeah, their spears really hurt. Wow. I love these enemies, but they are not easy. These might be harder than the dragons. They're kind of bad at navigating the rocks. That's what it seems maybe their weakness is. Okay, we got that one. Just warhammer him. Oh, come on. This one's not as strong. Take that. And the last one. The horse attacks too. I mean, that's really cool. Okay. Well, that was awesome.
We've put quite a few perks into unlocking alchemy skills now, and we're ready to take another one. Lasting Venom makes our applied poisons persist for more hits, which again will help us with dragon fights. As we approach the city of Dawnstar, we're again faced with more undead soldiers. Fortunately, without the Draugr horsemen romping about, they don't prove much of a challenge. Then we have to contend with Dragon Priest Silas at the ruins of Dawnstar. His lightning magic's annoying, and we need to watch out for other local Draugr joining the fight. But really, he's just another dragon priest, and we know we can beat them by now. Then it's a quick matter of wiping up the town, and Dawnstar is cleared. 2 northern holds down, 1 to go. Then, we spot the Winterhold Overseer in the distance, gazing out upon the frozen shores. But more importantly, we find the carcass of a ridiculously huge mud crab. This snowy saber cat appears to have made the carcass its home. Problem is, I want the experience from killing it, so it'll enjoy its sick crib no longer. But then once again, it's dragon time. The Winterhold Overseer is another frost dragon. Haven't they learned by now? The fun part here is when this saber cat gets caught up in the fray too. Poor thing. For dealing with the dragon, we put some more of those Draugr poisoned arrows to use. And a portion of the Winterhold Draugr army turns up to fight too. More free experience. With a big fire breath, we get the Overseer down into grounded range. He lands right in front of us, sealing his own doom. With the dragon right up in our face, it's hammer time. Our armor is too high quality for his physical attacks to be very threatening, so it's just a matter of time until we knock him out. Interestingly, there are 2 bands of Draugr soldiers watching the fight from across the tundra. Guess they were too scared to join in. But we could use a little post-fight cooldown, so why not kill 30 more Draugr? We're experienced zombie slayers now, so these guys don't give us much of a challenge. Though it's still very satisfying to watch dozens of Draugr fall one by one. We get a little help from this frost troll too, before smashing his skull in. We don't need no allies out here. This fight also lets us replenish our quiver with the arrows looted from Draugr archers. The snow littered with zombified bodies, we're ready to head to Winterhold and finish reclaiming the north for the living. Along the way, we have another run-in with some undead at the now-abandoned Saarthal excavation. I doubt the Mages College will be conducting much research anytime soon. Then we approach Winterhold down the western slopes, and find that Archmage Savos Aren has become their commanding dragon priest. Savos shoots lightning at us, but it doesn't do enough damage to be much of a bother. We break out an Elven Bow of Sunlight, which does bonus sun damage to the undead, and this makes our work here all the easier. Savos falls to the onslaught of our arrows, and we head deeper into Winterhold. The remaining undead are pretty weak, and it's not long before we've secured the area. So with that accomplished, the north is now ours, leaving only 3 holds left to reclaim. Now before we leave, I decide to see if there are any surprises up at the Mages College. Sure enough, there's a relics chest up there with a glass warhammer. It's even got an enchantment that'll make some lower level undead flee from us. Pretty great. Our armor rating now is up to 441. We've really turned into a tank with this build. The college is mostly empty and unoccupied, but the Archmage's quarters are still a great place to loot alchemy ingredients and potions. A lot of these random ones may not be useful for our build, but the healing potions could be life-saving. We now have the perks to unlock Experimenter, the alchemy ability that lets us discover more effects from our ingredients. With this ability acquired, it's now time, of course, to eat random garbage to figure out what it does. Don't try this at home. Now we have access to a wider array of alchemy effects, and can brew up potions to resist both fire and frost damage. These should be helpful against dragons later. Now the next hold for us to clear on our main quest would be the Reach, but I want to take one more shot at the Falkreath abjects before we head there. Maybe now, with fire resistance potions, we can defeat the Flameborn Lich.
All right, this time we are going to take him out. All right, fire resistance is on. Fire breath him. That did a lot of damage. Oh, this guy's here. Where did he come from? Let me see how quickly I can kill him. I can't. Okay, let's... I'm not gonna die again. Let's get some distance. I know the Lich is like right around the corner, or he's right up in my face pretty much. Okay, yeah, let's just get in melee with him. We do a lot of damage, but he does too. Can we outrace him? I'm gonna keep... Oh. Yep, okay, still there, it's just invisible. Our healing potions just work too slowly. I can't even use another one, I still have one on. We just can't recover health quickly enough, because the fire keeps burning it away. That was really close though. Like, we definitely are capable of killing him. Yes, he has come to us. Okay, this should make it easier. Are we gonna land fire breath? Good, and... All right, I'm gonna heal to keep our health high. We're then gonna shoot some arrows. Okay, here he is. Yeah, he's just coming at us. This probably will make it easier on us, honestly. Okay, we have to be super safe here. This spot might work. He looks confused. We might have the AI advantage on him here. He's not even gonna throw fireballs. Oh, well, okay, this is weird. He summoned another one? I hate this fight. This fight's really cool, but also ridiculously hard. He's coming around the corner. This is our chance to just sink in as many arrows as possible. I'm gonna tank a fireball if I have to. We just need to roast him. We can dodge his swings, apparently. He's not super accurate. Okay, come on. No more tricks up your sleeve, please. Please. Let's just get the arrows in. Just dodge. Get the arrows in. Yes! Finally! He is slain. Okay, that guy was incredibly tough.
Now, we just need to revisit the Draugr Mage Haldir, maybe with a little help from some newly made shock resistance potions. We'll finally be able to withstand his lightning bolts.
Okay, shock resistance potions on. Let's do this. As soon as he steps out, okay, there we go. I think we can hit him now. Oh, wow, that did a lot. Okay, excellent. We already got him down to cloning, I think, right? Okay, yeah, here we go. I'm gonna take out this one. And now, can I fire breath? Okay, great, yes. Oh, that did so much. And now, I think it's just Haldir. We took out all 3 of them. Awesome. Okay, oh yeah, and with our resistance up, his lightning really isn't hurting us a ton. And okay, I think we have this. But I think like 3 more arrows or so should just do the trick, unless he has another trick up his sleeve. I don't think he does. Yeah, I think that's it. All right. Okay, that was it. That was certainly easier than our last fight.
With those two bosses down, the last abject we currently have a lead on is Malgrim the Ashenbrand. He's located in the Reach anyway, so we're ready to head west into our next hold. We start from Bile Gulch Mine, right on the western border of Falkreath, and almost immediately we get spotted by the Markarth Overseer. This guy's a powerful fire dragon. He's a good deal more threatening than the dragons we were facing up north. This time, I decide to run for it. We might not be ready to face him just yet. We find some cliffside cover nearby, and the Overseer flies off to continue his patrol route. That won't be the last we see of him, and so we advance through the twisted foliage of the Reach, fighting more undead as we go. We're finding higher level zombies now, but even the strongest zombie is still just a zombie. But as we approach the inn at Old Hroldan, we locate the Ashenbrand, last of the first wave of abjects we need to vanquish. We land a distant arrow shot that deals a ton of damage, but it's going to be difficult to keep getting hits in from this far away. We need to go closer. Closer to the ground, it's not long before Malgrim figures out a path over to us and charges. Malgrim is a heavily armored warrior with a massive longsword. We're going to want to dodge those attacks as best we can, while using stuff like Fire Breath to weaken him. But Malgrim also has this really cool teleport ability, so we might be left with no choice but to duke this one out in melee. It seems that our arrows are doing better damage than our warhammer, so we embrace this awkward strategy of shooting point blank at Malgrim while he wails on us. Thanks to our high-tier armor, we can survive his attacks, and one last Mighty Breath attack fells this menacing foe. That's another abject defeated. Now, as we level up, our marksmanship is nearly to 80, with our two-handed and heavy armor both above 60. As we continue west towards Markarth, the flora of the Reach provides us with copious alchemy ingredients. We don't run into many more undead, but that's not necessarily a good sign. It might just mean that when we do come across the Draugr army, there will be even more monsters for us to deal with. And it turns out that's exactly what happens. Down the road from Markarth, we face off against a Draugr patrol party. With fire and arrows, we return them to the grave. But then things get trickier as the Overseer returns. Now with the dragon and the continued assault of Markarth's undead on our hands, we have the makings for a truly epic fight. We switch out our frost-resistant boots for a pair of fire-resistant ones. Fire dragons are much tougher for us than frost ones, largely because they take less damage from our fire breath. So for this fight, we'll be relying heavily on our bow, while trying not to get surrounded by the nearby Draugr. With our massive warhammer, we burst our way through a line of undead. Most of them fall in one hit, now that our two-handed skill and warhammer-related perks are this good. The Overseer tries to overwhelm us with fire breath, while the Draugr keep us distracted. But thanks to the rocky terrain, we still have a decent amount of cover, and can dodge some of the flames. And thanks to the new fire resistance potions we're brewing, we can even tank the dragon breath when we have to, without it putting us in mortal danger. The fight rages on the road out of Markarth, down towards the bridge by Kolskegger Mine. We're going through quite a few potions, but thanks to our new alchemy abilities, we can restock later. Combine this with our healing spell, and we can survive in combat for a long time. Our build is really coming together as the ultimate dragon and zombie slaying machine. And another huge benefit of advancing alchemy is that we can now make more potent poisons. Poison will contribute to an increasingly large chunk of our damage output against dragons as we continue to get stronger. As we continue to wear down the Overseer, his desperation grows. We get some distance down the bridge over the river, but our potion stocks are thinning out. We need to be careful here, or we could suddenly find ourselves dead to a round of fire breath, or a clumsy fall to the rocks below, as the toughest dragon we've faced so far pursues us across the bridge. We switch to our warhammer and land 3 mighty blows, felling the Markarth Overseer at last. The bridge still blazing, we clear out the remaining Draugr and claim victory. We rest for the night at Kolskegger Mine, but after that grueling fight, we're running low on potions. We should restock before daring to take on the forces defending the city of Markarth. For this, we head to the Karthspire camp. This is a location along the main quest of the base game where you can fight a mob of Forsworn. Of course, in this world, its usual inhabitants are all dead, save for a lone Hagraven. So we can loot the camp and use the alchemy table to brew up more potions. And then, it's finally time to march on Markarth. Let's talk about this fight. As usual, we'll be dealing with a swarm of Draugr, a dragon priest, and a dragon tyrant guarding the city. Ignoring the creepy skeletons hung outside, we approach the main gate, drawing the attention of both the city's bosses. Now here's where tragedy strikes. I think that my Z button is currently set to fire breath, but it's actually set to my prayer power, which makes us kneel down, helpless in the middle of the fight when I use it.
I'm so doomed. We are so doomed. This one doesn't even count. Maybe I can get out of here? I don't know. Our health's so low and we're on fire. Get out. I don't have stamina. Come on, healing. Healing. Yeah, and that's gonna do it. Okay, well that attempt was doomed.
Let's try that again. The good news here is that Joltor is a frost dragon, and after a frost resist potion, we can tank him pretty well. And Calcelmo's pretty flimsy. One fire breath takes out about 1/5 of his health. We managed to trick Calcelmo into hovering to this waterfall, where his AI gets confused and we can take shots at him. We let Joltor land a big frost breath on us, so that we can take Calcelmo out of the fight first. Now it's just the dragon to deal with. Frost drains our stamina, so we get some use out of our stamina potions here. And by combining poisoned arrows with fire breath, we continue to whittle down Joltor's HP. When at last we have him grounded, we battle Joltor by the river amidst a mess of ice crystals. Just like we did back in Riften, we can use the underside of this bridge as cover. As the poisons stack up, Joltor collapses, and Markarth is ours for the taking. First, we blaze our way through the remainder of the undead guarding the city, and fight our way up the steps to Understone Keep. But inside, there's one more surprise. A lone guard named Geborgen, the creator of this mod list, still stands in our way. He takes some swings at us, but ultimately is no real threat. Geborgen falls, and the keep is ours. That's one more hold down, only 2 to go until we can finally face Alduin the World Eater. We take Geborgen's armor to add to our gear, looking like the dragon-slaying legend we're fast becoming. There's not much left for us in Understone Keep, so once again, we prepare to set off. It's at this point when we unlock the Respite perk. This makes it so our healing spell also restores stamina. Next, we're heading up north to Solitude, our second to last hold. But there's still some Draugr in the Reach who will be fighting on the way. In the ruins of Karthwasten, we find another loot chest. And I'd just like to point out that despite all the chests we've found so far, and all the dozens of spells they've contained, I still don't have a better healing spell than the basic novice level one we started with. That's just some rotten luck. But it's also at this point that I realize something huge. Even though I definitely found all 3 words of the Fire Breath shout. One at Dustman's Cairn, one at Sunderstone Gorge, and one on the Throat of the World. For some reason, we only have 2 words learned, and I thought we were using the 3-word version this whole time. So after asking around on Discord, it seems that this is due to a bug. When we learned the word on the Throat of the World, it was supposed to teach us sun, the 3rd word, but instead it retaught us fire, which we already knew. So I go ahead and use console commands to fix it. Now we can unlock the 3rd word, finally completing the Fire Breath shout that I thought we'd already learned. And our fully upgraded shout is now pretty sick. But let's turn our attention back to the abjects. After defeating our first batch, we now have leads on 3 more bosses. Well, one of them is actually Isolde of Drakenfire, who we already killed back in Riften without knowing she was an abject. So I guess that just leaves 2. Both of these are located near Morthal, so it's back to the marshes. First is Movarth the Vampire. He's already a boss in vanilla, but once again, the abject version amps him up to 11.
Okay, we have Movarth up here. How are we gonna do this? So I'm not sure what he's gonna do exactly. He probably has some sort of vampire magic. All right, can you get to us from here? Oh, okay, that was... Why is it still draining? Wow. Okay, that's a long health drain effect. Gonna do it again. I'm gonna need a... Oh, well, oh, hi! All right, so we can teleport. Healing, healing. Oh, what? Fire Breath did so much! Okay, well, we just need to land one more hit, I think. Go. One more. Okay, there we go. Good. Wait, what? No! What has happened? He killed me as I killed him. All right, I have a different strat. So, I have this potion. I picked this up a while ago, I think. It increases the power of our shouts. So, I'm just gonna drink this potion and yell at him. All right, Fire Breath. Yes, and it just one-shots him. I guess it's because he's a vampire, so fire is super effective. All right, well, that was an easy one.
Next, we have Hrogor the Horror. This guy hurls some sort of evil fireballs at us that do some pretty big damage. We try hitting him with a fully charged Fire Breath, but it either barely misses or he's immune to fire. We keep losing HP fast, so we have to spam our healing spell just to stay alive. But after we outlast enough of his fireballs, the horror runs out of magicka. Now we can fight back with arrows, and we find he's actually pretty flimsy, sort of a glass cannon. But as so happens with many of these new bosses, he's got a trick up his sleeve. When we reduce his HP to half, he re-heals a big chunk and summons a pack of skeleton warriors. Fortunately, we catch most of them with a fire breath, but then immediately take the blunt of a fireball and a blast of ice magic. We're on the brink of death here. We take a healing potion and barely dodge another blast of ice, but the waves just keep on coming. We need to retreat and get some distance. As we do so, the remaining skeletons collapse. Turns out that spell must have had a limited duration. So after healing back up, it's just us versus the horror. His phase 2 strategy here is to switch from fireballs to his battle axe, which I'll take any day of the week. We can take weapon damage way better than magic, thanks to our high armor rating. Plus, his aim with it is pretty bad, so we can easily dodge most of his swings. In the end, this phase 2 goes much better than phase 1 did, and we slay the horror of Morthal. That was probably my favorite boss fight yet. This points us to our next set of 3 abjects, but we'll be saving those for later. Instead, we're refocusing on our main quest and marching west on Solitude. Along the way, we have some fun roasting more undead, and then marvel at some beautiful scenery. We make a stop in Dragonbridge, where we can gather more alchemy ingredients. But this is also where we face off against our next major foe, the Solitude Overseer. You know the drill by now. This guy's a fire dragon, unfortunately, but we're still set to take him down with our usual strategy of arrows and strategic cover. The ruins of the inn give us a good shelter, so from here we just have to cautiously chop away at his HP. After we ground him, the Overseer does a weird dance outside the inn. Then we just have to poke him with arrows until he meets his demise. That's one more dragon handily disposed of. From there, we pay a quick visit to the statue of Meridia, then swing by the Hafengar Stormcloak camp. This spot has some surprisingly good loot in the form of 2 cure disease potions. Curing diseases can actually be really hard in this mode, and we've secretly been sick with like 3 different illnesses for a while now, so these are really valuable finds. We throw together a few more potions here too. Then it's time to march on Solitude. There's only Solitude and Windhelm left for us to clear, so we're getting into serious time now. We start off just inside the main gate, sniping some of the weaker Draugr guards with our bow. From there, we continue up towards Castle Dour until we draw the attention of Broadkrill, Bane of Solitude. Broadkrill's another fire dragon, the more threatening of the 2 variants, but I'm gonna play this one cool and use the Solitude rooftops as our cover against his fire breath. This is also a great spot for us to focus fire on the Dragon Priest and accompanying Draugr, who seem quite impressed with our acrobatic skill. There's a reanimated Jarl Elisif in there somewhere, but she falls to 1 stream of our fire breath. But we end up descending to the streets eventually, where we clock the Dragon Priest one more time with our Warhammer to land the kill. Now for Broadkrill. He's really bad at squeezing through archways. Maybe we can use that to our advantage. By dancing around outside the Solitude main gate, we can block most of his fire breath and chip away at his health. There's also this narrow alleyway between the city wall and the inn that makes a fantastic hiding spot. Poor Broadkrill really wants to take a bite out of us, but we're just sneaking around like a sewer rat. With a steady stream of poisons applied to our arrows, Broadkrill's HP steadily falls until the Dragon Tyrant is no more. Then we can do our usual cleanup procedure, sweeping through the city in search of more undead. But it turns out, Solitude's not done with us just yet.
Well, okay. Wait, Undead General, that's Tullius streaking lightning at us. What? I thought we were done. That's so much. I can't heal that. I'm dead. He's so strong, dude. Okay. Let's try that again. Oh, and the gate locks behind us, so we can't even flee. All right, we just need to stay under cover and play the smart. That does a lot of damage to the archers, so that's good. Now, what about Tullius? There he is. Okay. My health. Is there anything in here I can use? I have to... It's so dead. What? Okay, this is the hardest fight so far. Was not expecting it to be at the Blue Palace of all places. So, I guess we're not gonna mark Solitude cleared yet, but I am not strong enough to do this fight right now. So we're gonna come back to it later, I guess. And I'm down to my last life right now, so let's go fight some of the other abjects. And once we have like a couple lives, we can come back and retry this.
The Revenant of Mara is a fireball-slinging mage, who we fight in the forest near Riften. She takes a ton of damage from fire breath, which is good news for us. By using this big tree as cover from her attacks, and from those of the champion that she summons, we can survive, but don't have a lot of windows to get damage in. Once our shout is recharged, we tank a fireball so that we can hit her with another fire breath, draining her down to about 1/3 of her max health. But then her champion comes at us, and we find ourselves nearly blinded in a conflagration of fire. Our potions might be our lifeline here, boosting our fire resistance and restoring our health. Now we charge at the Revenant, because we're clearly struggling to win this at range. We swap to our glass warhammer and decimate her with 3 mighty blows. Well, that's the end of her first stage at least.
Of course there's a phase 2 where she's giant. Of course! Why would I expect anything else? How do we kill her? She's regenerating. Does fire breath, like, okay, well, it does a lot. Does it stop her from regenerating? I guess we just have to burst her. We just have to do damage super quick. Because she had some healing. And we're still gonna have a fireball hurled at us. Great. And flame cloak. Okay. Why do... I mean, all these bosses are really cool, but they also each have like 7 different effects and stuff that they can do. So at least her swings are like really easy to just back away from and dodge. All right, let's see if poison is effective against her. I guess it's like a statue, so maybe not. Oh no, it's fine, okay. All right, come on, the poison stacking, it's slowly killing her. And, oh, well that was, where did she go? All right, that was weird. Okay, well that fight was epic. I wish I could grab this hammer. Apparently I can't. I could really use that hammer.
Next we'll be facing Eldric the Frost Titan. Eldric's made his base in the snows of the Pale. I assume from his name that he's gonna do ice damage, so frost resistance potions will be our friend here. We land a hit on Eldric from afar, which causes him to summon 2 frost Atronachs. It seems at first that this may be an easy fight, but then he starts casting waves of blizzard at us. Now we need to dodge while navigating the terrain and not getting pulverized by the Atronachs. Eldric's also surprisingly fast, and can just glide around the map, making it difficult to avoid him. We find ourselves nearly in melee range, but with his ice magic draining our stamina, it's difficult to keep up. As we finally get Eldric pinned up against some rocks, he stays still for a bit, and we can get in more hits. It's just one more fire breath until we reduce his health to 0. But of course, there's a stage 2. After all, he's not called Eldric the Frost Titan for nothing. Eldric's second stage is as a hulking, heavily armored giant. His Morningstar packs a punch, but just like the Revenant of Mara, he can also regenerate HP. Fortunately, he's vulnerable to poison damage, and thanks to our heightened alchemy skills, our homebrewed poisons have gotten pretty deadly. When he summons a snowstorm around us, things get pretty intense. We just need our poisons to kill him fast enough before he can regenerate his health or kill us outright. But it turns out we do have enough power between the poison and one more fire breath. We fell the massive Frost Titan and claim victory over the elements. We're on a bit of a hot streak now, with our full 3 lives in stock, so I want to give the Tullius boss fight another try. The main threat in this fight is the general's lightning magic. So we're going to get our resistance as high as possible with both a shock resist and magic resist potion. And then we're going to poison our bow. With our shock resistance maxed out, we charge into the courtyard and focus fire on Tullius. We're just gonna ignore the archers, and trust that our heavy armor will withstand most of their damage. But even with this much shock resist, the stream of lightning that Tullius casts is fast draining our health. We have to use a vigorous healing potion if we want any chance of staying alive. But Tullius does us the favor of backing up into a corner, letting us land 2 powerful poisoned arrows on him. We switch to healing while the poison does its work, draining his HP. And after one more arrow, Tullius swaps to a different combat tactic, one that's way easier for us to deal with. He comes charging at us with his swords, which still do big damage, but at least we can just wail on him with our warhammer from here. And after unleashing our recharged fire breath, we smack him one more time, reducing him to 0. And that's when Legate Ricca appears. Because why wouldn't this already crazy fight have a second phase? Now we're swarmed by the soldiers and General Tullius, who's back at max health. The silver lining is that he's sticking to his melee form this time, so at least we won't be getting constantly zapped by lightning. He's got some fancy swings, but they're not that hard to dodge. So after healing back up, we're ready to face off with Tullius in melee. It seems we're about evenly matched in terms of power and armor quality, but as the one and only Dragonborn, we of course have our secret weapon, the voice. Fire Breath really gives us the upper hand, as it sets Tullius ablaze and brings him down into critical range. All he can do now is try to block our attacks, but the repeated blows finally weather him down. Tullius falls to the might of our massive warhammer. There's no phase 3. Victory is finally ours. With our triumph, we can at last mark Solitude off our list, and march onwards towards the final abject fights and the city of Windhelm. But before we get there, we make a stop at the farms around Whiterun. We want more healing potions, and one of the ingredients we can use to make them is wheat. And the potions we're making are getting really powerful too. So now we trek east, down into Eastmarch and the lands around Windhelm. It's not long before we come face to face with the Windhelm Overseer. We've faced enough of these guys by now. Let's mix things up a bit.
I'm gonna try to get the giant to kill the dragon. We've fought enough dragons at this point. Let's make this interesting. Okay, we got him in the same place. Oh, he just took off. I don't think the giant's aggroed on the dragon. He's aggroed on us, which I don't really know why. I didn't do anything to him. Talos, protect us from the ice breath. Oh, hi. The Draugr decided to join the party too. That's a lot of ice. This guy's leaving. You should clean up after yourself. The poison's doing a lot, though I think our mission of getting the giant to kill the dragon is basically a lost cause. And he's grounded. Okay, some shots there. That shouldn't do too much. He kind of looks just like sad and pathetic sitting over there as I slowly drain his health with poisons. And that should do it. All right, now for the giant. You were supposed to kill the dragon. You failed, so now I'm gonna kill you too. Poisons for everyone as soon as I can see. All right, he's going down pretty quick. Oh, that's it. All right, and the giant's dead now too. And Cradle Crush Rock's cleared. Okay, that counts for anything.
So with the Overseer and Overgiant defeated, we're well on our way to clearing Windhelm. We face off against more undead as we approach the capital city. And unfortunately, that includes another Draugr horseman. These guys sometimes feel even more dangerous than the dragons. Across the river from Windhelm, we come to a Shrine of Talos. Activating it gives us Talos' blessing, which, combined with the pilgrim talents we've been learning, makes our fire breath 50% stronger. We've also progressed enough in Pilgrim that we can take the final perk in that tree, Deliverance, which lets us automatically turn ethereal for 15 seconds when our health drops below 25% in combat. We stop for a rest at the remains of Kynesgrove, just south of Windhelm. Tomorrow's the day that we liberate Skyrim's final city. We say our prayers to Talos as we gaze upon Windhelm's imposing facade. The bridge to the city is a grim reminder that Windhelm is a bastion of civilization no longer. Only dragons and the dead rule from behind these walls. And a dragon do we certainly find. Alduin, Bane of Windhelm, is the strongest of the dragon tyrants. But our poisons, and of course our fire breath, should give us the tools we need to defeat him. Along the bridge, there are plenty of archways that we can use for cover to shrug off most of his ice breath. And once our fire breath recharges, we get to take out another huge chunk of his health. Once Alduin's health is low, he lands outside of the city, and we rush out to the stables. Here, we face down his blinding ice breath to land more poisoned arrows. And a few seconds later, Alduin is on his last legs. The dragon tyrant of Windhelm crumbles. But before we can return to the city, we're attacked by a mob of undead approaching from the east. This is one of the biggest swarms we've ever fought. We boldly tank their damage, standing our ground with our warhammer, and smash their skeletal limbs to bits and pieces. Then, it's through the city we go, taking down the remaining undead we find. And within a hidden relic chest, we find a great new weapon, our first ebony bow. At the courtyard outside the palace, we face Dragon Priest Wundfirth and his dual elemental magic. There's a reanimated Ulfric back there too, but he falls to one blast of fire breath. The fight against Wundfirth gets a bit more complicated by the other Draugr crowding into the alleyway. But all in due time, we fell the former court mage as well. And to my great surprise, that's all there is for Windhelm. But with the final hold of Skyrim cleared, the skies above us turn to perpetual night. We've finally done it. The gate to Sovngarde has been opened, and Alduin returns to the world. We are fast approaching our final showdown. And from amongst the treasures hidden in the ruins, we recover an ebony bow of thunder, ebony armor of magic resistance, and a ring of the voice. But before we face off against the World Eater, we have more abjects to kill. And these are some of the toughest ones yet. Cindercoil of Ether is a Dwemer automaton infected by Alduin's dark calling. We face him outside the ruins of Mzulft, where we can cheese the fight by positioning ourselves on the walkway above. His AI doesn't know how to get to us here. So, if we just dodge his lightning spells, there's not much else to worry about. Our second to last abject is Wolf Queen Potema. You find Potema in the catacombs below Solitude in the base game. But with the normal entrance through the temple now inaccessible, we need to get there via the well. Her catacombs are guarded by more undead, including these monstrous skeletal amalgamations. Outside Potema's burial chamber, we find 2 shock-resist potions that may make the difference between life and death here. Because just like in the base game, Wolf Queen Potema controls a beam of electricity that sweeps around the room during the fight. She awakens undead minions from around the room who focus their aggression on us. This level 45 bloodthirsty warrior really hits hard, and we're at risk of getting surrounded. Our secret weapon in this fight, just like in the base game, is strategic retreat. The doors to Potema's burial chamber don't lock, so if you just back out into the hallway, you can avoid the lightning beam and refocus on the Draugr immediately in front of you. This helps us tear right through them. Once the Draugr are dead, we still have to face Potema herself in human form. We land a bunch of hits before she stands up, and follow those up with a big fire breath. Basically, I'm just trying to burst down her HP before she can get up to any shenanigans. This works for the most part. She gets these skeletal Atronachs attacking us, and they seem to do a good deal of damage, but after we take a healing potion for caution, Potema falls to our next swing. And our etherealness from our new perk activates shortly after, so we were going to be fine anyway. All this brings us to the final abject, the toughest post-apocalyptic champion of them all. It's none other than the Ebony Warrior, Skyrim's famed post-game superboss, but now reworked into a fresh fight. This is the last enemy we need to kill before the final showdown against Alduin.
Here we go. I wonder if I can do this on the first try. I don't know what this guy's gonna be throwing at us really, but let's go with resist frost. Okay, fire breath does a lot. That's good. I would just assume it's gonna be a stage 2 at this point, but oh, what? He just knocked me over, and he's gonna wail on me while I'm down, I guess. Okay, yep. Let's get some healing on, please. I don't think we really have to worry about the Draugr. They'll get in the way a bit, but all right. Need stamina too, because frost drains our stamina, and he's really quick for being someone in heavy armor. Let's get our health up. Make sure we stay close to full. Oh, is he stuck on that? His AI looks like he might be stuck. Okay, this might be a good opportunity to get some arrows in. I don't want to cheese this for the whole time, but this is a legit strategy. Oh, he broke out of it. Okay. I guess he was faking. Potion. And let's go melee. A duel against the warrior himself. He's really tough, he's really strong, but I think we're standing our ground pretty well, and we might actually be able to do this on the first try, which would be sick. Okay, we're hurting, but so is he. Do I? Oh, I was gonna... All right, okay, I guess I let my health get a little too low there. All right, take 2, let's do this. Now we hopefully know kind of all his tricks. He's staying at ranged for now, which I think kind of makes this easier. And it gives us time for our breath to recharge. So he also has this, like, priestess friend who I guess is helping him. Is she the one who's summoning the Draugr? That could be it. So this is quite the archery contest here. Fire breath is still our greatest way of damaging him. Especially would recharge more quickly. All right, he's coming. Let's take him in a duel again in melee. Ouch, okay. I want to do it because it's cool, but he does a lot of damage in melee. Oh, he switched to blocking. He switched to shielding. I think we might almost have him then. We're managing to... He's just missing us a lot. I'm not sure how he's missing us so badly. Oh, he's healing. No, do not. Don't you dare heal. Don't you dare heal. Still, he might have a phase 2 even though. How did that fire breath not kill him? Oh, he's going to charge at us with that sweeping attack. Is that it? No phase 2. That was it. We slew the warrior. And now we get to take all his stuff.
We've finally completed our quest to slay the abjects, and now the last battle awaits us. Let's check in on our stats before heading to the final showdown. We've made it all the way to level 43, with maxed out skill in marksmanship. Our two-handed is at 76, and we've taken a few perks that improve our attacks with warhammers specifically. Heavy armor is maxed out at 100, but I've left my smithing at 40. I kept finding better gear, so there wasn't much reason to focus on upgrading stuff. Restoration's sitting at 80, though I'll once again point out how we somehow never found any higher level healing spells, sticking to novice level all the way. Alchemy's at 75, and we put a bunch of points into this skill. With such limited restoration magic, the ability to make our own healing potions is a huge benefit. As for our gear, we're now decked out in ebony armor, with a necklace of major mending that increases our health regeneration, and the ring of the voice we got in Windhelm. Finally ready to dethrone the World Eater, we return to our beloved Whiterun. This final boss battle is incredible. With multiple phases and surprising twists, Alduin finally makes for a worthy endgame adversary. First up, Alduin summons the Grand Dragon Priests, mightiest of his undead mage cultists. We fight these guys outside the exterior walls of Whiterun, and our fire breath does fantastic damage. Still, with 3 Dragon Priests simultaneously attacking us, we're gonna take a health fortification potion just to be safe. We focus fire on the leftmost priest first, and take them down with a few more arrows. Our shock resist potions are helpful here too, allowing us to better tank their lightning. With our potions keeping us near full health, we shoot down the last priest to conclude this fight's first phase. So far so good. Now we get a round in with Alduin. His fire breath does major damage, and our arrows merely tickle him. This is going to be a long fight. Then the Draugr appear, as Alduin rains meteors down on us from above. He lands outside the Whiterun gate and takes another fire breath at us. With the ground ablaze, we dart about trying to take down the Draugr while dodging Alduin's assault. I want to clear the path to the city so that we can use Whiterun's ruins as cover. We even return to our old hiding spot beneath the fortifications to get in a quick heal. From here, we apply a powerful poison to our ebony bow. This makes our arrows far more threatening. We use a potion of fire resistance and then face off against Alduin directly. It's worth letting ourselves take extra damage here so that we can get in more stacks of poison. And we're nearly inside Whiterun now, where we'll have more cover to use for strategic combat. From here, we position ourselves in the market, where there are market stalls and overhangs that can block out dragon breath. But there's still more Draugr milling around the city, so we try to thin them out, while Alduin keeps threatening to burn us to a crisp. Alduin hovers over the marketplace, and after applying another round of poison, we let loose. We may have a lot of healing potions, but we can't outlast him forever. We're gonna need to take risks to win this fight. Now we refocus on the Draugr, so that we can establish the marketplace as a secured area. Alduin perches atop the ruins of Arcadia's cauldron, like an overgrown vulture. A full round of his breath takes out nearly half our HP. Are we really capable of winning this? Thanks only to our skill with healing, we're staying alive for now. But then comes phase 3. Alduin's joined by a trio of Grand Dragons, and now we have to fight all 3 of them at once. Fire, Frost, and Blood. Given our reliance on fire breath, I'm guessing the Frost Dragon will be the easiest. Trying to handle this fight out in the open seems like a terrible idea, but now that we've secured the marketplace, we can use its structure to our advantage. Hiding under the awnings lets us avoid most of the dragon breath, so it's back to our classic strats. Shoot, hide, heal, the only 3 steps you need to slay a dragon. The tricky part is that sometimes we'll get attacked from 2 different angles at once. In these cases, it's harder to avoid damage, and the elemental dragon breaths leaving behind area traps as well. We have to be careful where we stand. With the 3 dragons all flying around, it's hard to focus fire. Ultimately, we just gotta attack whichever one is in the most vulnerable position. At last, we've grounded the Grand Frost Dragon and nail it with a fire breath. From here, we take a healing potion, then focus everything we've got on him.
Couple more arrows. Look at him dance around. Look at him dancing around. Is that gonna do it? That's it. All right, the first dragon's down.
Next is the Fire Dragon. He's grounded too, and we launch arrow after arrow at him from afar.
I can't see him especially clearly, but I know he's over there. Oh, that was it. Okay.
As for the Blood Dragon, he's actually landed outside the city, so we unfortunately have to leave the safety of Whiterun's walls for this one. But our Fire Breath does a ton of damage, followed up with a few more arrows to get the final kill. So now we're back to Alduin, and the conflagration he brings with him. It's not ideal to be fighting him out here in the open, but at least we can use this stone archway as partial cover. We've also gained enough dragon souls by slaying the 3 grand dragons that we can unlock a new Dragonborn perk, Stormcrown, which gives us a chance of our shouts having 0 cooldown. If we can luck out, this'll let us use our Fire Breath shout twice in a row. Too bad it doesn't do all that much damage to Alduin. Poisoned arrows are probably our safer bet, and so poisoned arrows we choose, firing point blank while Alduin tries to chomp us to bits. Once we get his health down to about 60%, Alduin opens a gateway to Sovngarde, from which ancient heroes of Skyrim, now enthralled by his influence, emerge to attack us. Hakon One-Eye can't take the heat, and Felder the Old falls to our hammer. This just leaves Gormleth Goldenhilt, who's already badly wounded from our fire breath. That was a pretty easy phase overall, and now we've reached the final stretch. We've dealt with all of Alduin's most powerful minions, all of his tricks. From here on out, it's just us versus him. We lead Alduin back into Whiterun so that we can fight him on our preferred turf. Even though our arrows don't do much on their own, our poison's building up in his veins and his HP's steadily dropping. We finally ground the World Eater, and though we're running low on healing potions, victory is nearly in our hands.
Almost have it. We came all this way, and now we just have to finish Alduin. Oh, the epic climax of this whole adventure. Yeah, you better not clip through the building there. You better not clip through that. I think we've got him, though, honestly, like, we have to heal because, like, we're out of potions almost. Let me just like, wrap around the building here, see if we can get some better shots in. Oh, maybe... See how much he squirms around caught in the alleyway there. That's pretty cute. Alduin does not like it in Whiterun, does he? He is having a bad time. The alleyways were not constructed large enough for dragons. Oh no, he made his way out. Okay, let's go to the back of the building now and heal. He's so low on health, but like it's still taking us 100 arrows or something ridiculous to kill him. Okay, he's over there behind the building now. I don't know how he got there. Healing. All right, Alduin, let's end this. Like 3 arrows, is that it? Is that it? Is that it? No, it's not. Never mind. I'm taking a lot of damage too. No, we're out of healing potions. I can't. We just gotta land like 1 more good arrow, but I'm actually kind of in danger here. I'm gonna heal. And dragon versus dragon, we're gonna finish him with fire breath. Now it's over. Alduin, the World Eater, has been slain. That's it. And that is the boss. The final apocalyptic showdown. The World Eater quest is completed, and so is the game.
Remember to download War Thunder for free and claim your bonus pack using the link below. It's available on pretty much every platform now, so you've got no excuses. This pack contains the Eagle of Valor Decorator, premium vehicles, and more, so it's a great way to get started with Dance of Dragons. Big thanks to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Thanks so much to my patrons for continuing to support me, even when it took me like 3 months to make this video. And thanks to all the modders who made this project possible. You rock.